Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Digital Transformation in Manufacturing, powered by Predictive Analytics. My name is Andrea Saruk, and I will be your moderator. I work on the marketing team with R3D International, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. I'm pleased to introduce to you today's speakers. Raj Krish, Director, Global SAP Practice at R3D International, and Mo Abwala, CEO with IoTco. Before I hand over the mic to Raj and Mo, I have a few housekeeping items to cover about this presentation. First, today's webinar will be recorded and available to view after the live session. Watch our website and social media channels for the posting. Next, we'd love to hear from you today during today's webinar. If you have a question for our speakers, please feel free to send it through the chat tab. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Now, I'd like to kick things off by welcoming Raj Krish, Director, Global SAP Practice at R3D International. Over to you, Raj.
Side is SAP services that includes S/4HANA, SAP ECC, AMS, and a suite of offerings that we have in SAP. And in addition to SAP services, we are also into digital enterprise that includes shop floor and MES solutions. R3D has been in operation for more than 23 years, and today we have 80 SAP consultants and 400 IT consultants in total globally. R3D offices are located in Canada, Mexico, US, and France, and the core industries are automotive and manufacturing. IoTco, which is our partner, and also we complement each other very well, their core business is in industrial IoT and predictive analytics. They have been in operations for almost 6 years, and they have teams in the consulting area, automation, and data science. IoTco is headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the core industries are automotive, aerospace, machinery, energy, process, and semiconductor. Next, please. So this is a list of sample customers that R3D has, and as you can see here, there's a lot of automotive and manufacturing companies. And I would like to point out a couple of customers that are really interesting for us. One is Rivian. I think some of you may know that Rivian is next Tesla, I would say, where they are manufacturing. They are going to come up with electric vehicles in pickup trucks. And they have a big SAP S/4HANA project going on, and we are managing that project. Traton is another one, which is a group comprising of Volkswagen Truck and Bus, MAN, which is a German company, and Scania, a Swedish company. So we are also implementing SAP with Traton Group. Next, please. This is a brief slide that talks about our digital manufacturing services, where we do high performance shop floor and MES system implementations. So there are different offerings here. One of the main offerings I would like to point out is, if you see in the bottom, IoT strategy, solution, and deployment. In addition to that, we also implement a lot of shop floor and MES solutions. And we are also pioneering in coming up with a roadmap for Industry 4.0, because a lot of companies are still not very clear about what Industry 4.0 is and what should be the path to go in that direction. So we have enabled with multiple companies in the Industry 4.0 roadmap. Now with this introduction, now I'll hand over to Mo. Mo, I think it's yours now.
Raj, thank you very much for your introductory slides, and Andrea, and thanks to the R3D team for hosting today's webinar. So myself, my name is Mo, and I've been in the industry for over 2 decades. I've worked in manufacturing organizations like Toyota in TMMK Georgetown, and I worked in the software space delivering MES, IoT, and predictive solutions. And as Raj mentioned, the predictive analytics product that we bring forth can assist R3D clients and especially SAP users who use the preventive maintenance module, for example, to leverage further functionality from their preventive maintenance solutions by getting further insights to the plant floor. So what we do as a company is, we consult, we have an automation team, and we deliver a predictive analytics product called Predictronics, abbreviated here as PDX. So we are a team of educators, automation people, and data scientists. We have two domains of experience. Most of our work is in the factory, so we digitize manufacturing operations and we do predictive analytics within the factory floor. But more and more we are seeing case studies around smart product, where we are using sensors and analytics to leverage data and insights from products that are in the field. And I will actually show you two case studies along, using analytics within the factory and within the product. As Raj also mentioned, we complement each other by the type of clients where we work. We primarily work in the automotive industry and the aerospace industry. We work with companies that have a lot of robotics, like Magna, companies that do a lot of casting, high pressure casting and low pressure casting, like Maxion Wheels and Bocar, and companies that do a lot of stamping, like Metalsa, and companies that do a lot of machining, such as CNC machining, companies like Lockheed Martin. So, our goal is to deliver results in digital transformation and to assist these organizations to accelerate along their digital transformation journey. We're very proud, actually, that one of our customers, Maxion Wheels, has received the first ever Artificial Intelligence Leadership Award this year, and they received it for a predictive maintenance use case in one of their facilities in Akron, Ohio, where we digitized a line that makes steel wheels, and it's a very old line. The equipment is quite legacy. So we sensorized the operation, the process, and we were able to predict and detect failures on the line at least 2 weeks in advance, which assisted them to order spare parts in a more predictive fashion and to optimize their PM schedule. So we're very proud of the success of Maxion Wheels, and I'll show a brief case study on that later. So today's presentation will be a short education on 3 points. The first point is just defining the meanings of the different terminology. So what is industrial IoT? What is Industry 4.0? What is predictive analytics? And how do they relate to each other? This will be followed by 2 use cases, one around smart factory, one around smart product, and then a discussion of the technology that is the backbone of all these use cases. And Raj and I will give some comments at the end on how you can start your journey and how this can impact the SAP customer base. So let's start with just a few definitions of what is happening around the world when it comes to the 4th Industrial Revolution. So a lot of you may already know, and probably everybody already knows, that we have entered the age of the 4th Industrial Revolution. And the 4th Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0, was several years ago a German-led initiative, which has become now a global initiative, to digitize operations and digitize and connect operations. So there came a term which is a cyber physical system, such as a factory. A factory has physical assets, and those assets, the data coming from those assets, can be mirrored in a cyberspace, which is the IT world, by collecting data and showing the analytics using cloud and using secure infrastructures. And therefore, how can a manufacturing operation evolve in terms of connectivity and in terms of analytics to achieve a cyber physical system approach to the way they do manufacturing? So that's the foundation of the 4th Industrial Revolution. And obviously, to get to that level, there are various levels of digital maturity that a manufacturer will have to go through to achieve an Industry 4.0 status. So with this in mind, I want to go a little bit more on a higher level, and I want to first define what is IoT, right? So the Internet of Things encompasses all industries, all things, all devices. I mean, honestly, this is not something new. Maybe the term is new, but we've been monitoring jet engines flying in the planes and the skies for many years. We've been monitoring power plants and nuclear operations. So, IoT has typically been done in safety critical industries like aviation and power plants. So a lot of the same ideas and foundation is now entering the industrial IoT space, which is within the manufacturing operation. And if you look within a manufacturing operation, there are multiple layers that make up the digital stack or the IT stack of the operation. So you have your machines, you have your CNCs, your PLCs, your sensor layer. You have SCADA systems, which are supervisory data collection systems. Some companies have those in place. You have manufacturing execution systems that typically fill the gap between the plant floor and the ERP layer, such as SAP. But in many cases, the unfortunate fact is those layers are siloed. Those layers are fragmented. So, we are in the business to understand what is the maturity of those layers within the manufacturing operation and how to connect and digitally transform the operation by creating a connected factory where these 4 layers, become harmonized in one standard approach. And therefore, Industry 4.0 is a movement, is an initiative to converge the IT and the operational technology within the manufacturer, right? So in different parts of the world, there might be different namings. Some refer to it as Manufacturing 4.0. Some refer to it as digital factory, digital manufacturing, smart factory. All the names are synonymous. And the idea at the end of the day is how can a manufacturer create and execute a digital transformation strategy that is comprised of 4 pillars. And we typically start from the right and we count backwards. We start with the ROI, with the business case. One of the biggest challenges actually in adopting and executing digital transformation today is having a robust business case that can be validated. So we start with the business case and we understand, is it uptime related? Is it quality related? So what is the business case? And based on the business case, we understand the level of connectivity within the manufacturing floor. Are the machines connected? And if not, how do you connect the machines and create a data lake that has high quality data which you can use for analytics? And we'll discuss today specifically predictive analytics, using AI and using machine learning to convert that big data into insights on how things can fail or when will they fail before they actually fail. So moving away from a reactive maintenance approach to a proactive maintenance approach. And then obviously, last but not least, once the technology is proven, how do you architect and how do you scale that technology across the enterprise? Okay. So let's talk about the business case, right? Technology or the business case drives technology. And some talk about the digital thread, right? The digital thread is the analytics and the connectivity that occurs along each step of the part being produced, coming from the raw material to the manufacturing, to the aftermarket, to the service. And when we look at the business case, we look at a two-sided approach. And the audience here may be different, but the analytics actually may be the same. So within the smart factory, we're looking at a key metric today, which is OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. So how can we use predictive analytics to drive and sustain improvements in uptime, which obviously directly impact the OEE metric on the plant floor? Number one. Number two, if we can tie into systems like SAP PM and provide predictive data and predictive insights to SAP PM that a machine is going to fail before it actually fails, you can actually leverage the SAP PM environment much further because you can order spare parts before the part actually fails on the factory floor. We have manufacturers that optimize spare part management. We have manufacturers that reduce significantly the spare parts on hand because of the predictive capability where they can replenish spare parts in a predictive fashion. We also have manufacturers that optimize their PM cycles significantly because at the moment the PM cycles are typically time-based and they are more reactive, whereas a predictive PM schedule can help you actually maintain the right machine at the right time. And then we do things around predictive quality. So if scrap is an issue on the factory floor, for example, in a casting operation, scrap may be an issue. How can we use analytics to predict scrap issues on the machine before the part leaves the foundry, for example, and goes to the next process like machining, right? So the earlier we can catch the scrap, the lower the cost for the manufacturer, and obviously this will mitigate any traceability or warranty issues for the part, right? So these are some of the use cases that we do all the time around using analytics to drive uptime improvement, spare part improvement, and scrap reduction. If we look now at a smart product, those are products that are in the field being used by an end user, right? That product might be a pump sitting on an oil and gas rig somewhere. That product might be a wind turbine sitting in an offshore farm generating energy. Or even it could be a car. It could be an excavator that is mining in the desert, right? These are mechanical machines and they have components that fail. So how do we use analytics here to drive further value for the end user? How do we use analytics to remote monitor and diagnose issues on the part? As you know, some of those parts are in the middle of the ocean generating energy or in the middle of the desert mining, sand. So the ability to reduce the maintenance cycle and optimize spare parts is crucial for those smart products. A lot of manufacturers today, or a lot of smart product users, are using analytics as a service in order to deliver subscription services for their customers, so they can use analytics to ensure a near zero downtime operation for those parts, right? So the business case is crucial. We always start with the business case and we define the business case precisely, and the business case drives the technology selection and the technology adoption. So I'm going to show you briefly two business cases, one inside the factory and one on a product. This was actually a business case we delivered many years ago to an automotive OEM where 1 minute of downtime was a significant, ROI for them. 1 minute of downtime in an automotive OEM facility, in this case several years ago, was $10,000. If the line is down, or in this case the robotic is down, you're obviously not making cars, and this costs on average $10,000 per minute. So downtime here is crucial. Downtime is something that must be predicted to ensure a zero downtime operation. So when we build the ROI here, when you look at it, you have 500 robots in a factory, but, robots are machines that are meant to run, on average, only 30 robotics failed every year. But if 30 robotics failed out of 500 with an expected 30-minute and unplanned downtime, the cost of a single robot failure is almost $300,000, okay? So, robotic failure may be of a low frequency, but when it does occur, it leads to a high impact in the operation. So by using predictive analytics and creating an ROI case, which is very realistic, very achievable, to only predict half of the robot failures, 50% of the 30, that is 15 robot failures per year, this automotive OEM actually significantly achieved an ROI from this deployment. And, the numbers here obviously reflect that. This also does not take into consideration the feedback of the data to their SAP PM environment, where they can actually reduce spare parts and optimize the PM cycle. This is an ROI based on hard facts on downtime reduction and uptime increase. So the realization for the client at the end of the day is an intuitive system that can be used and trusted by the maintenance personnel, right? I mean, there's data science in the background, there's advanced mathematics, there's machine learning, but your maintenance person on the plant floor, you know, they are not data scientists, they are not PhDs, so they expect an intuitive solution that they can use on a day-to-day basis. So a solution like this would immediately show the maintenance personnel what is the health of your machine, right? Green is your baseline. The closer you are to your baseline, the healthier the machine. Obviously, in this case, the robotic has degraded and has reached a warning state. And when the robotic reaches warning, alerts can be sent. We refer to them as predictive alerts because the machine has not failed yet, okay? And the maintenance user can use the system to predict a remaining useful life. So this is the RUL, obviously with a prediction accuracy, indicating you know, several days, or in this case, several weeks in advance, that an issue is predicted to happen on this robotic, or specifically a failure is going to happen. Another thing that the user can do is then diagnose, you know, which subcomponent of this robotic is going to fail, right? In this case, axis 5 or joint 5 is the culprit. This is going to be a failing joint. So I can do several things here. I can, you know, request from SAP PM to automatically purchase a SKF bearing for my joint 5. We call that predictive spare part replenishment. And I can optimize the PM schedule in SAP PM, and I could inform the schedule that I need to prioritize joint 5 on a specific date in order for the maintenance person to be dispatched, right? I mean, when I worked at Toyota many years ago, we actually used to go in and run a PM cycle, and we used to change all the bearings on the robotic in one sitting, right? So I have just replaced, you know, several bearings that have life in them, right? So the early replacement of good spare parts is a hidden evil in maintenance, and we provide analytics to avoid that. So here's another example, right? Komatsu is a mining truck manufacturer, right? In this case, their mining fleet is used in rural areas, maybe deserts, to perform the mining operation. And the folks that are running the mining site, you know, expect near zero downtime, if not zero downtime of those excavators, because if the excavators go down, I'm obviously losing money that could be used in the mining operation, right? So by using analytics and by monitoring the different areas of this complex piece of equipment here, we are able to dispatch spare parts in advance to the mining site because we know the remaining useful life. We know the prediction of when the engine or when the brakes of this excavator might actually go down, right? So what happens here is, since those excavators typically run in a rural area and the internet connection may not be available, you know, there are data loggers that are sitting inside those trucks collecting data. And in the evenings, there is a satellite link, for example, that would open up, and then it would perform some analytics on the edge. So inside this data logger, our analytics are actually converting all the big data into insights on what is the health of the different components of the machine. And we're sending that data to the PM system, the spare part system, through the satellite link at least once a day, right? So here, you know, we have to work in a rural environment where internet connection is not available, right? So performing the analytics on the edge and performing analytics inside the truck is actually crucial. So the analytics have to work in that fashion, right? And if I'm operating the mining site, I would see the fleet, you know, this is the fleet of the mining trucks where they are operating. And it's like a green, yellow, red. Green is a healthy truck. Yellow means there is a suspect. There's a degradation component here that I should investigate. And red means there is potentially a predicted failure. So it's very important to address a spare part need for this truck as soon as possible, right? So again, the audience is different, but you know, the analytics are the same actually. The solution templates that are digesting the data are similar to the ones being used in a manufacturing facility, but in a completely different context and a completely different business case here. And there comes the mining site manager who wants, again, an intuitive way to look at the health of the mining fleet, right? So this is my mining site. My mining site has 3 fleets, and inside one of the fleets are, healthy and unhealthy trucks that need to be potentially serviced, right? And if I go a little bit deeper, I'm able to actually diagnose which component of the mining truck may be requiring spare parts in the future, right? So in this case, there may be a diesel engine issue that should be investigated. And again, by leveraging the PM environment or the spare part environment within the preventive maintenance system, SAP PM or whatever that might be, we are then able to close the gap and close the loop with this system and order the spare part in advance. The idea is a zero defect or a zero downtime operation. So hopefully this painted the picture of where the technology is today around industrial IoT powered by predictive analytics, in a smart factory setting and in a smart product setting. Obviously, at the end of the day, the business case here is how can we establish a worry-free process for the end user, right? End users are worried about downtime. End users are worried about scrap. End users are worried about spare part availability, right? So by using analytics, by connecting and collecting the right data and digesting the data, we are able to offer a worry-free process to the end user. And one of the products here, or the product that we rely on, is Predictronics. Predictronics is an industrial AI template-based solution that can be deployed in a smart factory or in a smart product setting, and can be deployed rapidly with pre-built intelligence and pre-built templates, relying on machine learning and artificial intelligence. And it's very important for any platform to be data agnostic, okay? So we can collect meaningful data from the asset itself, from the process surrounding the asset, even from workers, and from quality-related issues, specifically in a manufacturing floor, right? Because we want to use that data to drive 2 major use cases, and here is more in a smart factory setting. So the first use case is predictive maintenance, where I am focusing on the machine itself, okay? So the maintenance manager here is the key user, and they want to know, is my asset healthy, number 1? Number 2, what is the remaining life prediction of when this asset is going to fail, and how accurate is that, right? What's the accuracy? And number 3, if you're telling me my robotic axis is going to fail in the next 2 weeks, what is the diagnosis, right? Is it joint number 5? Is it joint number 6? If I have a bearing, is it the inner race of my bearing? Is it the outer race of my bearing, right? So in-depth diagnostics is important to understand what is the root cause of the failure. And in some cases, especially in the automotive industry and in areas where scrap is an issue, like aluminum casting, the average scrap rate in a casting plant is 4 to 8%. And that's actually an industry norm. That's an industry standard to see that level of scrap rate. But, we are collecting quality data, right? Quality data is coming from cameras, from CMM machines, from MES systems, right? So how can we correlate the machine data to the quality data and not only predict machine maintenance issues, but predict part defect issues that may be occurring on the machine? And this is crucial because 1% reduction in scrap in an aluminum casting facility, for example, is more than $250,000 per factory per year for an average size facility with maybe 40 or 50 casting cells, right? So predictive quality is essential. And here we're looking at the part. We're looking at what is the health of the part. So the quality engineer is looking at a graphic where I'm telling him green, yellow, red. Green is a healthy part, which can continue in the process. Yellow means is a suspect, so please investigate the part. And red means I'm predicting failure on this part. And if the part is yellow or red, what is a defect prediction, right? Is it the pressure on my machine? Is it the temperature? Is it the current or the voltage? So what are the process parameters that are indicating the part being unhealthy? Because I obviously need to do a diagnostic and to investigate, right? So predictive maintenance for zero defect operations, predictive quality for zero scrap operations, and ensuring that a worry-free process occurs to the manufacturer. And obviously, within a manufacturing environment, there is a variety, a huge amount of different types of machines, different manufacturer types, different OEMs, not to mention different ages of machines. Many machines have been running for many years making parts, right? So they're more legacy equipment where data may not be readily available, right? Our approach is to facilitate the use of analytics on the plant floor by rapidly deploying proven templates. We call them solution templates. And those templates can then tie in to the SAP layer and allow you to send the insights like the machine health and prediction and diagnosis to a system like SAP PM. So rather than having SAP PM as a static environment, you're actually leveraging it with real-time analytics from the factory floor. And if you look here, robotics, machine tools, including casting, CNCs, injection molding, stamping equipment, and surrounding equipment like pumps, motors, and HVAC, right? Each one of those is a template. Within each template, there is a predefined data model. So we know exactly for industrial robotic what data needs to be captured and where do we get the data from. For example, each axis on a robotic can provide you the torque, the motor torque of the axis. It can provide you the temperature of the axis. It can provide you the motion, the angular position of the axis, right? So by using several signals, several tags, we can run the AI and the machine learning and then derive a baseline and drive a health metric for the robotic and for the axis of the robotic. But then you have more complex machinery. You have CNC machines where you have a spindle bearing, for example, where we might need to mount a vibration sensor on the bearing, right? So some of these templates are intrusive, where we would need to add sensors to the machine. And that's why we have a sensor team, we have an automation connectivity team, and together with R3D, we're able to perform assessments and we're able to create a data lake for the user. And that data lake would then be used to drive the analytics template that you see here. But our goal at the end of the day is to have intuitive, rapidly deployable analytics where a user can start using AI on a factory floor in 8 to 12 weeks, okay? Within 8 to 12 weeks, we want a usable, trained AI solution running inside the manufacturing facility. And lastly, this is what a template is, okay? A template is actually a 6-step process where the AI and the machine learning is pre-built, okay? So number one, the data model and the data collection is clearly defined. The data can come from sensors, can come from PLCs, or can come from existing systems on the plant floor, like MES. And then the machine learning runs its course and processes the signals, extracts statistics and features from the signals, and uses that to train a health assessment model that creates a baseline of where the performance is today of the part or the machine, and then trends that baseline over time. And once the baseline is properly trained, and it typically takes 2 to 4 weeks of data to train the model, then predictions can occur, okay? And obviously the predictions get more accurate as I'm collecting more historical data. And as faults occur, the system actually self-learns the faults and creates a library of faults. So in the future, it can actually diagnose which component and potentially what is the root cause of the failure of the component on the actual machine, right? So data collection is a typical challenge, okay? If you're thinking, hey, what's the challenge here? Typically it's getting the data, but once we do have the data, within 8 to 12 weeks, we can exercise and run this template. And then a decision has to be made by the user. Now, what do you want to do with the data? Do you want to use it as a standalone solution, or do you want to start leveraging your SAP PM or your maintenance environment and deliver real-time data to that level of your enterprise, right? And then I'd like my friend Raj to maybe say a few words about how we can then use this data to leverage the SAP PM environment. Raj, I want to hand that to you now, actually. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mo. Mo was talking a lot about data collection and different solution templates. Now, this is an example that I want to just touch upon, where if you see in the bottom, PDX platform collects based on different solution templates a lot of critical and meaningful data. But then all these data can be used in your ERP solution, which is in this particular case, SAP Plant Maintenance and Materials Management modules. And the data is transferred to SAP through the interface layer of SAP, which is PI. And within this SAP Plant Maintenance and Materials Management module, the data is used for making sure that your PM schedules are optimized. And this is what Mo was talking about. And also the inventory of spare parts can be optimized, making sure that you don't unnecessarily stack too many spare parts that you don't want to use it. And you time it in such a way that when you get the alert from the PDX platform, you go through the procurement process of the spare parts and make sure you have it at the right time. So thereby, you do have spare parts at the right time for the machines, and also make sure that you're not carrying too much of inventory cost. Now, if you look at overall impact, not only it increases your operational efficiency, but also it reduces your total cost of maintenance and the inventory management. And thereby, it directly has a positive impact to your bottom line. Now, all these data, what you're collecting in PDX platform and the one that you're using in SAP, you can use the embedded analytics that comes standard with SAP S/4HANA to do all kinds of reporting. And based on the reports, you can make decisions, correct decision. In addition to that, you can also have your own cloud platform, which is your PM analytics. Thereby, there are much more dashboard type of reporting can be done. And these ones can be done to the top executives. And one of the things that you can use is SAP Analytics Cloud for this. It has a much better dashboard and real-time reporting. And thereby, these are used for faster decision making. So overall, starting from PDX platform, collecting data all the way to the dashboard, you have a seamless integration. And this is one example where we can leverage SAP and also the PDX platform. Mo, next please. I think now I'll hand it back to Mo.
Thank you, Raj.
Continue with this. Okay.
So I think that closes the loop. I appreciate your insights there, because, you know, a lot of companies today have made significant investments in their PM systems, you know, be it SAP PM or many others. And the unfortunate fact about some of those systems is, you know, they're isolated from the factory floor. But by getting connectivity to the factory floor and by using analytics to gain insights and to make predictions, you know, we could then leverage and, you know, feed the right information to those systems and close the loop completely with the spare part and with the maintenance environment. So I think that is a huge ROI for many manufacturers today. And it's overlooked by many, unfortunately. So the question now becomes, in conclusion, how can you start or how can you continue your digital transformation journey in the best way to deliver the best results? Okay, so we have an approach in partnership with R3D that we follow, and we'd like to just inform you how we do that. And the idea always is, you know, think big, have the vision and have the understanding, but start small. Select the right plant, select the right people, select the right area in the plant, and prove value quickly on several machines and several departments, and then take that as a template for success and scale fast. Okay, so today's approach is really a four-step approach. Okay, and the first approach is to perform a discovery. So it's very important to meet the team and understand the needs, and even pre-analyze some of the data that they might be collecting to ensure that there is a business case behind it, and to ensure that there is a technological opportunity to deploy the solution, right? So we perform discoveries, Okay, discoveries are typically starting with calls and then going to on-site visits. The discovery then goes into a deeper innovation workshop, which is typically 1 to 2 days at the plant where there is an opportunity to prove the value. Start small, prove value. And within the operation, you know, it's important to get a detailed understanding of what is the as-is status, right? What is the status today, currently? What technologies are being used, right? What systems are being used? What is the process on the factory floor, right? So by understanding the current state of status quo, if I may say, we are then able to select the right area of the factory that is most meaningful and delivering the biggest business case, which we do document. And it is important to document a potential business case here. And this business case is the cornerstone of continuing the project. So the innovation workshops, you know, deliver a gap analysis and a statement of work that include requirements, a project plan, and obviously a cost proposal for the pilot and for the scalability of the pilot. And then this leads to a proof of value phase, okay? So the reason we refer to it as a proof of value is, first and foremost, I mean, these technologies are proven. Those templates are proven in many manufacturing settings, okay? And we want to marry those proven templates with a business case that delivers value within the company. So by bringing the business case and the technology together and deploying it in a live environment, we are delivering a proof of value with a strict business case assigned to it that is delivered at the customer site, okay? The proof of value also delivers the needed training. And in many cases, we create a center of excellence environment within the company, a team that is competent enough that can take this template and scale this template in an easy fashion across their factory or across multiple factories, right? And then obviously rollouts occur in a subscription analytics as a service based fashion. So discovery, innovation workshops, proof of value, scalability is a 4-step approach with very clear milestones and very clear criteria to assist the customer to go through the digital transformation journey. So a short summary, first and foremost, digital transformation is something where you need to assess where you are today, okay? What is the maturity level of the organization? And think big, have a vision, and have clear buy-in from the top down, bottom up, but start small and prove value, okay? Make your digital transformation operational with a proof of value that is tied to a business case. Whether you run factories where downtime and defect is an issue, or whether you have products in the field, analytics can help you. They can help you collect further data. They can help you use the data and convert the data into meaningful insights, which can help your factory operation and can also help the users of your product, okay? But let's face it, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about people, process, and technology, okay? And those are 3 pillars that must be addressed, you know, during any digital transformation journey. And in all honesty, benefits typically accrue as far as the weakest link. So if you're going to start in a manufacturing plant where maybe people and culture and mindset is weaker than other plants, you know, you should immediately know that this may be the weakest link and an obstacle to performing digital transformation, versus starting in an operation where a better trained team and a better culture and a better mindset exists, right? So we always assess the risk of the people, process, and technology and make a recommendation of the best place to start small within an operation. And in conclusion, I mean, Raj and myself, you know, R3D and IoTco, we would very much welcome and provide complimentary discovery sessions on site or by phone to any of the folks on the webinar today or any of the folks listening to the webinar in the future. You know, please reach out to us through R3D, and we would love to help you to get on your journey or to complement your journey. And with this, I'd like to hand it back to Andrea. Thank you, Andrea, and back to you.
want to just move to the next slide there, Mo? Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. We are now going to have our Q&A session. I haven't seen any questions come through the chat yet. Does anybody have any questions for Mo or Raj? It was a great webinar, by the way.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who is this?
Hey, this is Sandeep from Farsia, and I have a
hi,
question
Sandeep.
for Mo. Mo, when you talk about the POV, what is the time that you generally take or you envisage for that POV starting?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Sandeep. On average, it is a 3-month duration. So from the date of go live of the POV, once we go live and the system is running and accepted by the user, it is on average a 3-month duration where we prove out the system and we prove out that we can predict downtime or predict scrap. So obviously, it's related to the business case or the success criteria.
Okay, and what efforts are required from the business side to get those results that you will deliver at the end of the POV? How much effort?
That's a good question. I mean, it's, as you very well know, it is a multidisciplinary effort. So, you know, obviously, project needs to be managed properly on both sides. There are stakeholders from IT involved, but most importantly, there are business users involved, such as maintenance personnel at the plant, who would be the power users for the predictive maintenance template. And they would be using it, you know, trusting in it. They would be trained to leverage it. And I think this multidisciplinary effort would ease the pilot into success. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And sorry for a lot of questions because I'm really looking into this. So, see, when we try to do this in-house, right? The one of the challenges that we face is people complain saying, hey, you guys are asking for too much of time, you guys are asking for too much of data, we do not have that time and data to give it to you. Why can't you just go and figure it out yourself and let us know what you find out? So have you ever done this kind of, have you dealt with this kind of an environment where you are expected to go in, find out and do it yourself?
I mean, that is a good question. We have dealt with environments that are data rich, where users are collecting a lot of data that they don't know what to do with it. And during our discovery, we actually are able to take that data and make recommendations. And some of those discoveries are complementary. And we can go back and say, hey, on your injection molding machine, you actually only need those 10 parameters. You don't need to collect 40 parameters, right? So my message here is, using a template approach, we're able to be very precise about the data needs and the customer needs and the AI and analytics that go, you know, around it. But we are always flexible to expand the templates and expand the involvement with the client depending on the business needs and the technical needs of the project, right? So I hope that begins to answer your question.
Okay, yeah, I think the template, what you said, probably is what is the answer to my question. Okay, and how do you manage the OT part of it? Do you expect the connectivity in place, or you guys come in and do the connectivity as well as part of your POV?
We actually are able to offer a turnkey solution. We have clients where the connectivity is not there, so we have a team that can create the data lake. And we have clients that are quite mature, so everything is kind of in place, and we just leverage their existing environments. And then obviously through R3D is where we leverage the enterprise integration with systems like SAP PM, which would typically be a second phase of the project.
Okay.
I appreciate your questions. We'd love to talk to you more about that.
Sure. Okay, that's it from my side. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. I think Tom Subert had a question. Did you have a question, Tom?
Yes, I do. I just would like to understand, how is this different than some other solutions out there, including what is already part of like the Maximo platform? If you could comment on that, please.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, IBM Maximo has some analytics, and you know, SAP Leonardo is also a platform that has some analytics, right? I think what makes us more unique is the templates that we provide. A lot of the other platforms, there is kind of two philosophies. One is I give you a toolbox and I give you all the tools, but then you have to hire data scientists and you have to create things yourself. So that's one philosophy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's obviously more intensive to do that. And the second philosophy is, you know, we understand the machine, we understand the reliability of the machine, so the physics of the machine, and we know the history of all the PM cycles that happened in the past. So we're able to optimize that and do a better way to use a time-based maintenance approach, right? So the analytics may be, or the AI may be less used versus it's a more optimization approach to do the analytics versus, you know, time-based information from the historical data that I have within my Maximo system, for example, right? So the flavor of analytics is different in both cases. One is a toolbox approach. One is more of an optimization approach. But we, in fact, have reached out to different companies that do maintenance today, and they were quite interested to use some of our templates to complement their environments, right? So we also have a high level of interoperability, which I didn't talk about in the slides, but it allows us to coexist on, you know, Siemens MindSphere, PTC ThingWorx, SAP Leonardo, for example, because we understand companies have already made those investments, right? Does that make sense, sir?
Yes, it does. Thanks. Yeah, that actually did to clarify things. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Great. Any other questions out there? Okay, we had a question from another user. This question is it mandatory to use SAP PI? Can we use any other interface layer that is standard to my company?
Mo, I'll take that question. SAP PI is a standard SAP interface layer. So it is always recommended if we are using SAP system as a ERP, the interface layer needs to be PI. But if you ask me, is it mandatory? The answer is no, but it is highly recommended.
Okay, thank you very much, Raj.
Thank you.
This is Sandeep again. So Mo, this is your solution is based more of cloud or is on edge?
Both actually. Yeah, both actually. So the system can run on premise or it can run on a private cloud like AWS or Azure or Alibaba or whatnot.
Okay, thank you.
And I think to Raj's point, you know, the APIs is very important. So the technology also comes with several APIs, open APIs, including REST APIs, MQTT, and, you know, other protocols that could then be used for integrations with SAP PM, for example.
Thank you, Mo.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions? I have another question from Thomas, came in. So he says, poor quality of data is one of the biggest challenges for IoT projects. How bad is it and what can be done? Mo,
yeah, I mean, it is a very big challenge, actually. I mean, to the previous question from Sandeep, maybe, when he asked about, hey, we're collecting data already. You know, we work with a lot of clients who are collecting data and they have mature data lakes. But when we start using the data, we don't feel that the data is maybe collected in the best way for the analytics, right? I give you an example. You know, if we're collecting vibration data from a machine, from a spindle on a CNC machine, I mean, we're expecting a sampling frequency that is high enough to do the analytics, right? But in many cases, the sampling frequency and the way the data is collected, sometimes it's snapshot data, it's not even continuous data. So there's a lot of characteristics to the data collection strategy that we would work with the client to make sure the data is good. You know, good data drives good analytics. So I think it is a big challenge, and it's important to work very strategically on the best data collection strategy for the customer.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mo. Any other questions out there? Okay, well, I think that will wrap up our session, our webinar today. We will follow up with those staff, with those attendees, and if there's no other questions, we will end this now. Please watch on our social media channels for this broadcast to be reposted, and you can view it again and share it as you like. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. Yes, and Mo, thank you for participating, and Raj as well. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Andrea. Bye-bye.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.